This is here the all-new Audi Q3, completely new generation, everything you need to know about this model, and I can promise this will be super interesting because Audi has taken a lot of beating for their recent interiors, and strangely, and also in a positive surprise, this interior seems to be even better than the latest, more expensive, larger Audis. Why is that? And all about this car now with Thomas Nautical Fuel in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go! Here in sage green, very interesting color. It appears actually darker than it actually is. So in outside daylight, it will appear brighter, this lighter green colorish then. And here it looks a little bit dark greenish, so to speak. Huge Audi rings in the front. There are also sensors behind it. And the size here is actually the size of Leah's shoes, so like 41 in EU size or 9.5 in US size. She found out by like holding it here. Very funny thing. Mine is still bigger, you know, because I'm like Bigfoot Thomas, you know. And then you can see here this really open design in the front grille. This is the S-Line exterior. It will also be S-Line interior, and you can see more honeycomb styling in the lower part, black contrast then here as well. Of course, you can also get base versions without S-Line then later on. As for the length, we're here at 4 meters 53 or 178 inches. That's about 4 centimeters or 1.5 inches longer than the predecessor, and that is only the front overhang, you can see. So the wheelbase is unchanged, and you just have a little bit more length here in the front, and that is very appealing design-wise because cars with a longer front hood just look a little bit better. That's just fact, even though it's nothing for a better use case or so on, but it's just better for the design. And no wonder the designer of this vehicle here wasn't Italian. So that is maybe also a reason for that. And then here, the wheels from 17 to 20 inch. These are the biggest wheels available. 20 inch look pretty massive. Of course, you always have to keep in mind that larger wheels might reduce the comfort. And talking about comfort, what you could do, you know, to counterbalance this or to balance this effect, you have an adaptive suspension. The logic is base suspension, fixed sport suspension, or the optional adaptive suspension. And then you now get the 2-valve technology. So, you know, you can rule individually then basically, and also have a wider span between comfort and sportiness. And yeah, where have we heard that? Yes, from the VW Tiguan, because this is also a sister model to the Tiguan and to the Cupra Terramar. And this will be built in Hungary in the Audi plant together with the Cupra Terramar. The Tiguan is not running from the same line, but they are still, you know, sharing a lot of technology like these 2-valve DCC dampers, or DCC Pro as Volkswagen is calling it. And then in the rear, completely new design as well. Illuminated rings here too. And then a light strip that goes all the way through. And you can also get optionally these OLED in the rear because there's a, let's say, complex light structure. And let me first talk about the rear lights. You can see here, these are these organic LEDs. They're placed in like this, and look at that, how slim they are actually. You can hardly see them when I hold them like this, so slim they are. And OLED, because they contain organic components in a chemistry way, not living beings or something like that. It's just because they have a carbon share basically. And there's a polymer that basically creates the light source, similar in the technology like is used in like monitors, screens, TV screens and so on. And that's why they also have to seal off these rear lamps even better against dust, rain, ice, cold, warm and so on. So this will be more sealed basically than with a classic technology, but you only get them optionally. And then you have like this really spectacular effect here in the rear, and you can also pick different light signatures and so on. The logic is there's a base LED, then there's a mid-trim LED, where you can of course also get these cascading indicators. They are also included in this high trim LED. You can get these OLED for the rear. Just finishing the design in the rear here again with this S-Line honeycomb style, and no fake exhaust, no job for the Audi Q3 fake exhaust police, a clean design here in the rear. And as for the front light, also here, this is like the main headlamp. And here you also have base LED, then an LED Plus, which also, as I said, includes this turning indicator style and so on. And then optionally, like on top of that, you have a digital matrix function. Digital, what does it mean? It just has a high resolution with a lot of individual pixels that can even project something in connection to the assistance systems on the road, like light carpets guiding you the way what is happening on the road. Not a necessary feature, but something that goes even beyond the features that, for example, the Tiguan or the Terramar are offering. The base hardware is, so to speak, the same, just Audi has a different application to it, offering even more. And interesting discovery here, like a Rolls-Royce feature with Audi, that they always keep upright when they stand still, and also sounds cool, and it looks interesting, especially on camera. You know, like Leah said, it almost looks like an infinity symbol when it's turning then in a fast way or spinning. Yeah. When you're bored at the parking lot, yeah, the kids will love that, I can tell you. Very interesting and important here. From the first tech grade pack, then here you get the dual insulation here, the lamination in the front window, and for the rear window, it's actually not. However, then we have that in one in the front from the first tech pack. This one here is a little bit thicker than it would be from the standard trim, and it's very interesting because Tiguan and Tyrone, for example, they get the dual lamination both front and rear. Yes, here at least you have it a little bit thicker in the rear, but I would expect the Audi to have like at least the same thing. Then again, I say Tiguan and Tyrone is more family focused, more rear passengers. Yeah, and the question is how much different it does make while driving. We can check it, for example, when we drive it on the motorway for you very soon. Now to the interior with the known key fob. Good quality, looks nice, definitely. And door closing sounds. Classic door handles. I really prefer the classic door handles. And this is also how you close the door, when you just hold your hand on the outside. Mirrors fold in, hold your hand on the inside, and everything opens again. I think that logic can't be beaten. And then here, closing sound. Super solid. Actually one of the best door closing sounds we have recently heard overall. And in the rear even more so. That's what I expect from an Audi, you know, and this one actually delivers. And it's really a positive surprise today that it does deliver in many aspects. There are also some aspects to criticize, soon to come, but in the whole scheme so far it really delivers. And then inside of the doors, this is interesting, also completely new. This is not just like a plain black plastic. First of all, it's a little bit softened up when you touch it, and this not only has just a black scheme, but something like a visual structure inside. That's interesting. Then here, microfiber for the S-line interior. Here you have it's like a laser cutting where the ambient lighting shines from the background through the microfiber. Also a nice and solid door handle here, opening and closing. There's now here an optional Sonos sound system, by the way. Also here the real window levers with two-step and clicking feedback, like that. The only thing I think is missing is here, there's no fabric inside at the door here. At least there's a rubber pad in the lower part that things don't slide around that easily. Memory seating here at the inside of the doors as well. So that's also in an interesting position. Then you have the S-Line entry sill badge, because this is both S-Line exterior and interior. I can also separate that. S-Line steering wheel. At the moment you can see everything is dark, but when I hit the ignition, then you see, oh, hold the remote key against the, I have to put the key in there. There we go. And you can see there's an illumination from the background. I do prefer the classic wheel jogs on the Audi steering wheel. Gotta say that, but at least these here also have a clicking feedback. And here the two-dimensional Audi rings, I mean, they look good, yes, but the three-dimensional Audi rings were better. Gotta say that. New to this vehicle are the stalks behind. This is super interesting. So here on the left side, this is the turning indicator. And it is unusual, yes, and new, but this is in a way a new integration where I say like, hey, that's okay, or that's interesting, because it is in the same position. It's physical like before. It's just more integrated in that unit, you know, and that's why not? And the shifting is on the other side. Soon I'm going to show that to you, but why not? And also here this here, there's this separate stalk column for the ACC. That one has also remained the same. We also have some aluminum deco element is also available. It's aluminum style, it's not real aluminum, but there's also wood style available. And then here, these seats, these are the top sport seats, so the highest trim level seats that are available. And they have a thick microfiber here in the middle part. You can see also here it's kind of plush. They have some fabric on the outside and also shoulder accentuation. In general, there is a base seat and a sport seat from the different ergonomics. This here, the sport seat, and then different materials. In Europe, you can also get, for example, fabric, or this one here, then the microfiber mainly with some fabric, but they will not offer the fabric or microfiber on the Northern American market, for example, which I think is not a good decision because the only alternative is a mix of animal leather and leatherette. And they do not offer a high-grade full leatherette seat, for example, like BMW is offering, in which Prima has a higher quality and even better durability. So yeah, a little bit of hit and miss there. Good offerings for Europe, not so good for the Northern American market. Steering wheel could even be ordered in an animal-free one, if you like. And it's also supposed to be in the configurator, they say. Then here, in and out, up and down. It's a good control for that. And you can see how this whole console there moves together with the steering wheel. That's really interesting. So, I mean, it's a fresh design. And look at that here. Also, the controls for the wipers are actually here. You turn them like here. And I mean, why not? This is something new. I mean, sometimes we see new features in the car and it's like, why? Like, no one asked for it, and why do it in a different way? This doesn't make any sense. But here, it is new in a way, but it's logical. You don't need to learn it. You see, like in 1 second, what you're gonna do, and that's fine to me. Welcome to this completely new cockpit. First of all, headroom. Here with 189, 6 for 2, a lot of headroom left. Soon more info about possible panoramic roofs when we're at the rear. And then this new unit is on the one hand known from the other new Audi models. 13-inch infotainment system on the right, 12-point-something-inch instruments on the left. They form together one unit, but the application software and also the positioning is a little bit different. That will be super interesting, I can tell you. Here in this trim, we also have microfiber here on the top of the dash. Then in this rather shiny deco element, I heard there's also wood available. I would probably go for that one then, especially if there would be a matte wood. We have to see in the configurator later on. Here also nice sounds when you open and close the vents on the right side. Nice ambient lighting integration here, straight line. And then here, glove box also properly dampened. This is then to clean the high gloss black areas here. And good closing sound. Here from the seats, by the way, you can also put this front part a little bit longer, and ISOFIX already on the passenger seat. Sorry about that. More ambient lighting integration right here at the sides. And I think from this perspective, you can also now better see here this ambient lighting integration at the inside of the doors, where you have like this leather cut microfiber. It's also pretty cool. Yeah, this middle console to me has too much high gloss black, definitely, but you can slide this one open. This is nice. Here's an inductive charging pad for your phone, also with active ventilation and 2 USB-C chargers. And if you close that, then you also have a clean atmosphere. So they recently also increased the fines for looking at your smartphone while driving in Germany. And on the one hand, you say, I mean, people are eating, smoking, whatever doing in the car and can do everything in the infotainment system, but then everything with the phone is forbidden. You can see, is it maybe a contradiction? But on the other hand, there were accidents where people died, and innocent people, because people were looking at the phones. So on the other hand, I can say, it's also maybe a good idea to put high fines on that. And we really all, because it's so tempting always to look at the phone, we really have to, educate ourselves and say, while driving, we should better not do that, or maybe ask the passenger or something, or if there's something important, then there's CarPlay meanwhile, that's the integration, or then just, stop at the side of the road or something. So I think it's good that we can actually also close it then, and it's also a clean solution. Nice that we still have a manual volume jog here. There we go. And also with changing music titles, start and stop here, electric handbrake, and then here 4-dot adaptive design for the cup holders. That's nice. And this is a microfiber cover, also soft enough for your elbow. You can put this one up, more space underneath. That goes a little bit wider in the front there. And let's see if we can also, we can also check out different heights for that. Cannot be extended in the front. And then what's also pretty cool, here you have on the right side a hotkey to the assistant systems, for example. Then just click it here once and you can directly deactivate some of the assistant systems right here. So this is like one way to deactivate the warning tone if speed is exceeded. And it's really clear in the display here. And this is like 2 clicks, but it's also possible to put it at the favorite button on the steering wheel. This one can also be assigned to this, speed beep 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 being off. So good new shortcuts as for that. And I really love this attention to detail. Look at that. There's a microfiber cover here, and then you can really push that in for the knee pads, left and right side on both sides. It's really soft underneath. I love this attention to detail. This is good build quality. And now the driver POV, really interesting. Here, when you press and hold the favorite button, then you come to a menu where you can individually set what you want to have here as the favorite button. So that's a cool thing. And here once again, this one was directly for all deactivation of assistant systems when you click them there. And drive select is also in the lower part that you don't have to do it in the screen. And here you can see now with this Android backend, look at these visualizations, and so far stuff like this was pretty much laggy in the infotainment system, but here now is a very good resolution and looks also quick, and I don't have to confirm it in the screen. I can just keep on clicking it through here in the... These are beautiful legs. Hello. Thanks for the camera work for today, Ori, and of course, and the lighting work. You don't need the light, actually. You shine so much yourself. Back to our review, because very important part is here the switch gear. Look at that. Drive, reverse, or here drive and S mode and park. And why not? I mean, it's a nice integration. You get a haptic feedback. It's a new idea, but it is, so to speak, not complicated to learn. You directly know what you're doing, and I think this is, finally a new solution, which is also making sense. And then to these instruments here, and I think the best thing is here, yes, the return of the digital analog RPM meter. Yes, thank you. We have been asking for that, Audi, and now it finally seems to have returned. And then you can also, of course, optionally get a head-up display. And as for the AC unit, of course, I prefer the classic Audi solution, but you gotta say, it's not the best integration here in the screen, but in comparison to the other new Audi models, it's placed a little bit higher here. So in the other Audi models was like here, and I was like, how am I supposed to? But here it's not the best I've seen, but you can better manage that, like with spreading your fingers without breaking your fingers, actually. So here it's better than in most other new Audis here than for the seat heating. Still, they got rid of the best climate unit ever. So I wish that this one makes a return at some stage, but at least, as I said, a little bit better integration than with the other all-new Audis. Rear seats, the doors open wide enough, then also here with a nice microfiber covering here, and also this integrated grab handle. That's actually a nice idea as well. And also here the top part here with this somewhat softened up material, so it's soft to touch, and also doesn't have the plain black plastic look, but it has, once again, like in the front, this structure here, and here more microfiber insert. Yeah, there's no covering here, but at least they have a rubber pad at the bottom that things don't slide around and so on. And then here, rear seats, you have this slidable bench, pretty cool. Soon it will also be featured in the extensive trunk part. So here, there we go. And there's about 17 centimeters forward and backward, isofix at the outside each, and then you have these lashes here, and then you can control the angle of the seat as well. And you also have this top seat setup here in this very spec vehicle with the microfiber and the fabric. And once again, maybe you guys in the Northern American market can tell your Audi dealers that you also want to see something like this, because Audi Northern America says, or Audi USA says, we don't want that, our customers don't want that. But I think a lot of customers would like to have this microfiber styling. Or what do you think? Then here, 1/3, 2/3 means I can also slide this 2/3 here, forward and backward. And then I have the cup holders right here with adaptive function. It's a good build quality with nice fabric insert, and also then here for the ski hatch, the individual part. In the middle part you have two USB-C chargers, and then here the separate vents, also with nice clicking sound. There we go. In the lower part, when the car is powered, you also have then the, it works actually, even here. So this is a touch unit. However, it does have some clicking sound feedback, so on. Oh, but now I have to tune down the AC vent again, otherwise it's too loud in the interior. And as for the space, for the dimensions, this is the seat as I would be driving. Still works here. As for the legroom, it's not the longest SUV. And here also this recess is at the right position, that I still have some space right there. And you can see the floor is also low enough. That's in nowadays cars a very important aspect indeed. And then headroom with 189, 6'2", still some headroom left. And important, you can also get a panoramic roof. And this option, it would be a panoramic roof that actually really opens as for letting air through. And also that is important to mention nowadays in car age of fixed closed panoramic glass roofs. This is what I mean by attention to detail, by the way. This is the rear door from the inside. You can see here there's an ambient lighting at the rear door here at the grab handle. So good that they all thought of that. As for the trunk, 490 liters, and I gotta apologize because in some of the recent videos, because there was this one Toyota filming there where we had like 5 vehicles in 2 languages at the same day, I forgot the normal length of the trunk. And to me, that's, I mean,
Thomas
it's
was at home like, oh
yeah,
my
I
God,
was crying all day, literally, like, I'm so sorry. This should never happen again. Of course, I mean, I think in about probably 2,500 car videos, I did do that. And in 2, I think I did not. I'm really sorry about that, but it will come today, of course. Then now here at the 490 liters, this is like 1.40 meters in width. Cabin trolley here also fits in vertically underneath. And then, of course, now the normal length for everyone here is about 90 centimeters or 35 inches. Then I already show you right here. So this is the normal position here of the rear bench, the backward. And then here you can slide the bench, so I showed you earlier, forward and backward. This is then the difference you have here. So you can see it right there also at the scale. It's like 17 centimeters or 7 inches. But also I put it a little bit more upright. So these 2 possibilities, you have to gain more trunk length if you drive maybe with 2 and just want more trunk length and so on. Then here underneath could also fit a spare tire, also a subwoofer, maybe both. And then this one you can also put a little bit lower. There's like this lower step available for that. There we go. So like this you can get more trunk height. Yeah, see here, then you have this step, so that would also be possible. And then for the total length, I have to remove this part here. And gotta believe that we recently did the Renault Austral, and there we had like this kind of splinters from the lower material, and I had like a splinter in my finger for like 2 weeks and maybe 12, 13 splinters. So you really have to be aware if these covers here are made from bad materials, so to speak. This one here makes a fine impression, so there's no splinter danger here for my fingers this time. Then you can see more of the trunk and also the top length, so the top height, so to speak, and this is here at 80 centimeters or 31 inches. That's really good with the lower position. That's actually pretty cool. And here I can show you more how flexible it is. So when I put this bench forward like this, and then you can here see the angle difference. This one is more upright then, this one is more backward in the position. There you can like this or maybe like this. So this one even like this. So these possibilities you have, or of course go back all the way again for the normal passenger setup. And then folding down everything, this works as well. And then you can see here it kind of is fixed, and then you have to pull the strap here again to unfix it, so to speak. Ski hatch also available, that you only fold this part here, and then the total length 1.75 m or 69 inches, or 1.73 m or 68 inches, depending on, is always the question like where exactly does the lid close. In that case you would need to measure from the inside while the lid is closed, and then yeah, it usually ends like here or something like that, like closely before that one. But yeah, I think 1 or 2 centimeters won't make the biggest difference. And in both cases, actually here, you can see that there's a nice transition. Even if this one here is in a lower position here, then you have still a nice transition to the rear seats. So they thought about that to make this one flexible. That's a good idea, actually. And then, because there it raises kind of, and then when you put it in a higher position, then of course you have an even better transition than here to the rear seats. Engines. Let's start with the most desirable one, which is also under the hood right here. This 2-liter TSI with all-wheel drive, so front plus rear on demand. Gas struts. Oh, one is actually enough. Interesting, but yeah, it's a powerful one. Nice dampening underneath. This one here, 265 horsepower from this 2-liter 4-cylinder. All-wheel drive, as I said, 5.7 seconds in the acceleration figure. This engine would also be available with a 204 horsepower trim. And then as the entry-level engine, there's a 1.5 TSI pure petrol engine. That one also builds the base for the new plug-in hybrid, now with a bigger battery, 20 kilowatt hours net. And that will be some pure electric driving, like realistic 80, 90, maybe 100 kilometers, 50, 60 miles and so on. And also 50 kilowatt DC charging. So the plug-in hybrid is the drivetrain that has changed most, so to speak. And then, of course, there will also be, again, the 2-liter TDI for the European markets, for example. So after Audi took a beating for a lot of the last or recent cars, this one I think works very well, both exterior, interior, especially from the interior build quality. Yeah, the climate unit was better in the predecessor, that's maybe, but the other features, really a lot of improvements here with this one. Looking forward to drive it as well. And yeah, the Tiguan and the Terramar, they are close, and they are also very close siblings. And for example, that window thing, what I explained earlier, maybe the Tiguan is better than for the rear passengers and so on. But you also got to say that the Tiguan, price-wise, kind of moves in the same direction now like the Q3. So an Audi Q3 is not really more expensive anymore than a Tiguan. And prices indeed start at 45,000 euros. Okay, the base price is like 3,000 euros above the Tiguan. But we had test vehicles of the Tiguan that were spec'd at 75,000 euros. And indeed, the car as it stands here right now, top engine and also top trim, top spec and so on, will be somewhat between 70 and 80,000 euros, so approximately 75,000 euros. So a full spec Tiguan will be almost on the same level like a full spec Audi. And then of course it always depends on the concise leading rates. So would you agree that this one here now is a new Audi that works very well and that you're also happy with in the interior? Really looking forward to your comments, and of course want to see you at our next review right now.